Tourism in Turkey is set to return to near pre-pandemic levels this year, boosting the crisis-hit economy with the help of a currency crash and economic deals with rich Gulf neighbours like the UAE.
Atilla Yesilada is Turkey country analyst for Global Source Partners. He told me earlier Russia-Ukraine tensions and inflation are likely to hit tourism.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, in Turkey, monetary policy is not conducted by central bank, but by President Erdogan. Erdogan will probably wait until the end of March to see if there is a bounce in the polls, in his approval ratings. If there isn't, he's simply going to order the central bank to deploy more monetary surplus stimulus, that is, cut rates further.
And inflation is near 50% last month, the 20-year high. That was the currency. The lira lost around 45% of its value last year. This is having a serious impact, isn't it, on ordinary people in Turkey? How significant is the cost of living crisis there?
It's very significant. Ipsos is an internationally known polling agency. Yesterday, its Turkish chairman spoke to a Turkish YouTube channel, and he said, "We have been in Turkey for 12 years. We have never seen economic confidence so low," which is also verified by a private consumer confidence index provider, which shows a serious low in terms of consumer confidence. Finally, if you check the Turkish news, there is unrest. It's small but very widespread, but people are just sick and tired of their incomes being daily eroded by rising inflation.
And there's also been an uptick in the use of things like cryptocurrency, people looking to put their assets in gold as well. That's something that the government is trying to resist, is it?
They certainly do. They have incentives for Turkish lira wealth to be converted into exchange rate protected deposits, but that kind of misses the problem because people are not really choosing crypto, gold, or dollars because they hate the color of Turkish lira, but as a hedge against inflation, unless Turkish deposit rates are raised to a level which, in the view of the people, compensate them for the erosion of their disposable income by inflation, none of these measures are going to help. Turkey is more or less an open economy.
And let's just pick up on that, because the government says its measures are working. That guarantee savings scheme you mentioned in December brought in to try and promote the use of the lira. But it's also looking at a boom in tourism in the coming months, hoping that will calm nerves. It's not going to be enough then, you think?
Well, first of all, the amount that's been exchanged into Turkish lira is by edict. For instance, exporters have surrendered 25% of their export revenues to central bank. No one is doing it voluntarily. Obviously, a buoyant tourism season will help ease some of Turkey's pains, but we have to remember that tourism revenues are on the positive side of the ledger, but we have rising energy prices, of which Turkey is one of the leading importers in the world, are on the negative side of the ledgers. Furthermore, Turkey's tourists largely come from three categories: Arab nations, Russia, and Ukraine. Now, Russia and Ukraine, I don't know how that crisis is going to be resolved, but one way or other, it will probably end in a manner that would reduce the disposable income of Ukrainians, Russians, or the both, which is really not good news for Turkish tourism season. At the end, I don't think a tourism season will significantly help the central bank control the exchange rate. It's going to depreciate no matter what it does.
And just lastly then, President Erdogan himself just returning from a trip to the United Arab Emirates where he signed billions of dollars in business deals with a country really that the Turkish government, his government, hasn't seen eye to eye on in recent years. He also spoke more about positivity in relations with Saudi Arabia. Do you think this easing of tensions with Gulf Arab nations is essentially to try and attract more investment?
No, obviously, Gulf Arab nations are natural complements for Turkey's economy, and if they spend their money in Turkey, not only in terms of tourism, but in terms of buying productive facilities, Turkey's fate will change. But there is so much bad blood between the two sides, and moreover, Mr. Erdogan's foreign policy is what we call transactional. It changes according to his needs. Nobody is going to trust him to sink sufficient money into Turkey fixed assets because tomorrow he can change his mind.